Welcome to MGov Management Training. In this module, we'll cover top 10 suggestions for a great user experience. When creating applications for MGov and Smart Government, it's important to remember these tips to create the best possible experience for your user. On this slide, you'll see an example of a registration form from Subway Sandwich Shop. You'll see that Subway is seeking a bit of information in order for customers to register and then be eligible for a free sandwich. Do you think that you would fill out all of this information just to have a free sandwich? Probably not. You'll need to define the necessary data that your organization requires to meet its objectives, and then ask the user only for the information that you need. Make your application as simple as possible for customers to use. On this next slide, you'll see the title Unify Text Input. If you look at the example on the left, you'll see that there's multiple tabbing required for a user to enter their information. The information on the right is well organized and tabbed, consistent and easy to understand. This makes it more likely that customers will actually use your application. The button size on your application is very important. If the buttons are too small, they won't register. If the buttons are big enough, then the customer won't have any problem selecting the proper choice. Based on a study done by the labs at MIT, they discovered that the average width of the index finger is 1.6 to 2 centimeters wide. This is an average of 57 pixels. The index finger will snugly fit inside a 57 pixel mark. You'll want to ensure that the buttons on your app meet this requirement. On this slide, you'll see a comparison of button sizes. The example on the left has small buttons at the bottom. This is from a lipstick manufacturer. So conceptually, you're supposed to hit the button at the bottom, and then the color will match on the screen. However, users found that the buttons were so small that they weren't getting the proper color to appear. The example on the right is a rework of the application. The company returned to the drawing board and updated their application, made the color blocks larger, and therefore customers could easily move about the color wheel. Strategically placed buttons are extremely important. Users typically hold their devices with only one hand, so the most commonly used touch controls should be located near the bottom. The buttons on the bottom are the easiest to reach and the easiest to use. Making your app easy to use makes a good customer experience. Showing progress to your user is really the only way we have to give feedback to the user during their app experience. When you show progress through every transaction, the customer understands that the application is still working, still processing. Sometimes when they receive the spinning pinwheel, they don't know if the application is working or if the application might be stuck. If we can show progress to the user, this eliminates the confusion. Universal navigation is another important factor to consider. You consider the platform that your application is running on and then meet all of the requirements for that platform. Users expect consistency. Therefore, I want to ensure that, for example, the back button on my Android application is in the same place always for Android platforms. Or if my application is meant for iOS, I want to ensure that the controls match the same controls as iOS. We must provide security reassurances to users. We build trust with users by advertising the security controls that are in use on the mobile device, the communications transport, and the back-end storage. We want to protect personally identifiable information, also known as PII, whenever possible. This includes data at rest, such as in storage, and data in transit, say as it moves from place to place during a transaction. One security issue can cost a lot of users. It can be detrimental to your entire operation. So, using a third-party authenticator, such as you see on the screen, you want to show users that you take their security seriously. Additionally, don't recreate services. Depending on the sensitivity of your information, your application can provide simplified authentication. This means allow your users to log into your application using their Facebook sign-in and passwords. Users log in with their account details and then pre-populate the data from an existing account. If your data is not sensitive, you could support this sort of login for your application. Make your application easy to use. If you can provide support for geolocation or one-touch services, this will also increase the adoption of your MGov SmartGov service. For instance, providing geolocation through the GPS on a device and allowing that information to populate the requirements for your app not only makes it intriguing to use, but makes it easy for the customer to use. And finally, the most important thing you want to do before you publish your application is you must test it multiple times. You want to test it through CODI, the Center of Digital Innovation, located at TRA in Dubai, for things like security and user interface. Additionally, CODI offers a number of mobile devices for which you can view your user interface on the device itself. This is the best way to locate issues with any pixelation, screen resolution, or overall problems in the code. This ends the module on user experience.